Hello, everybody. I am recording live today. So, welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome Podcast. It always takes a minute to get everything going. Um, yeah, I just thought I hadn't recorded this yet, and I thought, well, let's do it live and people can come and join me. So, welcome everybody here watching live on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and all of you who are going to be watching later. Hello, how are you? That's a big question these days. Things are weird. Things are very weird. Things have been very weird for me. Weird in the world and lots of change. And I've been talking about this quite a bit in these podcasts recently. You know, it's interesting to have, lived through and created so much change in the world and my life and my years of being on the planet and facilitating consciousness and working with people and just creating my own life. And it's like, wow, this time these days right now just has a sense of more being kind of more tumultuous in a lot of ways, and a lot more global upheaval, global you know, unrest and discontent and uncertainty than ever before. And it's it's interesting even when your own life is going well and feeling pretty good. um we are still aware creatures, and we do have that sense of a lot of times we're aware of other people's stuff and we don't realize that we're aware of other people's stuff. We think it's ours, and we just you take it on, you think it's yours, you make it relevant to you even when it's not, and then things get even wonkier and wonkier. So one of the things I would love to this isn't what I was the main thing I wanted to talk about today, but I am probably going to do a multiple day kind of freebie around this tool from Access Consciousness, which is, who does it belong to? And it's kind of like a lot of people think of it as the most basic tool. It's one of the first tools that people get when they start to play with the tools of Access Consciousness. And it's also like really, really essential because it's an acknowledgement that whatever is going on for you, whatever you're aware of, if you ask, who does this belong to? Is this mine? That's a different way of asking it. Who does this belong to? You don't really need to know who it belongs to, but it's just like, is this mine? Whatever is going on, the emotion, the wonkiness, the, you know, whatever it is it mine? And when you ask that question, most of the time it's not yours. Most of the time it does not belong to us. And it doesn't mean that your awareness is going to go away of whatever weirdness or wonkiness you might be experiencing, but it does give you a place to acknowledge that whatever it is not something that you need to get involved with. It's not necessarily relevant to you. You don't need to do anything with it. And that can be so helpful, and just continuously, and I've been doing that a lot lately. Okay, this isn't mine. Is it mine? No, it's not. It's not mine. I'm still aware. Not mine. I'm still aware. I don't have to take it into my body. I don't have to think that, I need to handle this. Like, I'm just still aware. And it can take some of the burden off of like what we think we need to do with whatever that may be. So okay, the thing I wanted to talk today, and the title of this podcast is Your Greatest Asset in Times of Big Change. And I would like to actually dive into a conversation about trusting ourselves and trusting our awareness, which that "Who Does This Belong To" tool is a great lead into that in a lot of ways because we are so aware we are such aware creatures, and we rarely recognize what it is that we're aware of and how aware we are. And when that's the case, like when you do recognize how aware you are, then you actually get to, just have more space as I was talking about, but also like have more clarity of your own unique awareness. You're not you're acknowledging what awareness is like of other people's stuff, then it gives you more space for your own unique awareness. And your own unique awareness is your greatest asset. Excuse me. In times of big change. Excuse me. And so, and the thing is that, I feel like the tools of Access Consciousness have given me such a huge, such a huge um, arsenal of energetic tools and ways to work with things and ways to create that I never had before, and have made my life so much easier, and my like the creation of business and living and relationships and my body so much easier. And one of the key elements of that is really what I've been talking about is awareness. Hey, Chantel. Hey, everybody joining. Um, and really getting that you can trust yourself. You can trust yourself, and trusting yourself is definitely a journey. We love to doubt ourselves. We love to, wonder if we're actually, you know, if we know what we're doing. Um, and anytime you go into doubting doubting your awareness, you are diminishing everything that you can create. You are disempowering yourself. You are diminishing and really taking away from what it is that you can create. And because you are you are unique, you are uniquely you, and nobody else in the world knows what you know, and nobody else in the world can create what you can create. And this is actually, I just want to commend those of you that are listening to this, because it isn't a super popular conversation, because it does require you to be different. And and so as we, it requires you to really trust you, and to acknowledge, hey, whatever it is that I have the capacity to create, it's so unique and it's so different. And I mean, if you look at like great, inventors or artists or whatever in history, I mean, so many of those people actually didn't even, they didn't even like whatever they were doing in their lifetime, like they became really popular after they were dead, so many of us are dynamic futurists in that way. And it's not the easiest thing in the world to have going on. Like if you're really aware of a future and it's not here yet, and a lot of it is just the energetics of things, it can be really challenging to have a sense of like how to move and how to navigate things, and how to move in the world, because it's just we really have to trust ourselves, which is why I wanted to really talk about that as your greatest asset. And um and so um and the thing is that the alternative is, I mean, what else are you going to do, really? And that's what I've realized is like, I mean, I found the tools of Access Consciousness, and just this conversation in general. Like I found this conversation, it was such a relief and such a balm for me, because was always looking for other people to tell me what to do and how to do it and, give me their expert advice on how to create my business and give me their expert advice on, so many different things. And, and the best expert advice I've ever had from anybody is, know what you know and know that you know. And that is, and so as I've like moved in the world in that way, it's like it's I mean, it can just I just wanna say, like, it can feel and I've had a lot of this going on for myself lately, like, it can feel kind of like a burden to know as much as you know and to be as aware as you are, because there's so much going on and there's so much turmoil and, especially right now, there's just so much happening in the world and so many people feeling really wonky and really weird, and you're aware of all of it, and then it's like it's very loud, and then you're like, how do I progress? How do I move? How do I create from here? Um, yeah. What else are you going to do really? Trusting yourself or not? Thanks for highlighting that, Chantel. Listening live, because it kind of comes down to that, and it's sort of like I know for me, I've had a lot of moments of being like, well, I can either, do it like the experts tell me to do, whatever it may be, business or life or whatever. I can do, what other people say to do and just not even look at myself and my awareness, but that doesn't work. Like that'll make you really unhappy. um, or I can trust myself, and both kind of sometimes feel a little daunting, because there's so many voices out there telling us not to. And I know for me, like the more I get into, like the more I do acknowledge my awareness and how aware I am, the more I acknowledge that, the more um, different I feel, and the more I feel like I don't really fit in the world, and it's like, does anybody care? Is anybody listening? Like, is this doing anything? Are we doing anything? I mean, there's so much distraction in the form of doubt right now, that is really designed to keep us from the power and the potency of trusting ourselves and knowing what it is that we know. And it's getting louder, and so one of the things I wanna bring up is this, conversation that we have in Access Consciousness, and you can read more about this if you would like. There's a book, called The 10 Keys to Total Freedom, and it's a brilliant book written by Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane Heer, who are the creators of Access Consciousness. And they wrote this book, and it was based on a telecall series that they did, a long time ago. But it's based on this tool in Access Consciousness that you get in the foundation class called the 10 Keys, and, the 10 Keys to Freedom. And so they're just like 10 things that you can play with, um, tools that you can use to, uh, have the freedom of being, really, of being you. And one of them is, being interesting point of view. And interesting point of view is, um I just totally jumped tracks there in my conversation. Okay. There's 2 different things I wanted to talk about. I skipped over one. We'll come back to it. There's a lot happening in my world today. But interesting point of view is actually, um, it is a it is actually one of the most powerful tools that there is and one of the most powerful tools that we have. And, it is truly something that will create enormous freedom for you. And it will also allow you to have a lot more clarity about what's true for you, your voice, your awareness, trusting you, knowing that you know, knowing what you know. And so, um, okay, so when we when we have points of view and we have judgments about things, ourselves, other people, things going on in the world, we um we create this, like, internal noise, basically, and there's this, like, noise in our fields that is, like, it really just like, it's like if you were trying to meditate and, someone was playing rock music next door, it's like that in your head all the time times a million, because there might be rock music and jazz music and country music and a baby screaming and, it's kind of what it feels like to be in our own world sometimes with all of the awareness that we have. And so interesting point of view is actually, um, is it's this so let's do it right now together because I think the most powerful way to experience this tool is to experience the energetic impact that it has. So, any points of view that you may have right now about yourself. I mean, you can do this, your points of view about other people, you can do this, your points of view about yourself, and you can do this about your points of view about other people's points of view. But let's do it about ourselves because most people have so much judgment about themselves. So, whatever's going on, whatever kind of judgments you may have going on in your world right now about you can say to yourself, just like get present and say to yourself, interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Now you will get to a level of space with that is, um, different, and I don't know, maybe you noticed it, maybe you didn't. I know for me, it gives me a sense of, like, calming my system, expanding my awareness, and, like, letting go of a lot of the noise. And that is because the thing that keeps us from having the awareness that we have, that we and then from trusting it, is the noise. And the points of view that we have eliminate our awareness. Our points of view eliminate our awareness. And they literally, it's like every time you have a point of view about anything, you're like putting up a brick wall around you. And then the awareness of what you can be and do and have and create and generate that is different, it won't really come to you because of the points of view that you have. It's like the noise. There's too much noise. There's too many radio stations playing. And so when you use the tool, we call it IPOV, interesting point of view. You use the tool to quiet your system. There's more awareness there. They can receive, and the awareness just flows. It moves energetically in your space, and you get to have access to it. So, okay, cool. So I'm glad I went there first kind of accidentally because, that sets up the conversation to go to the next thing I wanna talk about, which I was gonna talk about and then I forgot, which is about doubt. Doubt is a distractor implant. And, this is where I got confused because that's also a book, Living Beyond Distraction, that Gary and Dane wrote, the founders of Access, and, also based on a call that they did. But Living Beyond Distraction or the distractor implants are these energies that we employ, we use in our own world to distract us from our potency. So it's doubt is one of them, fear is one of them, blame, shame, regret, um, and even things like business and relationship, love, jealousy, peace, sex, um, eh, perverted, obsessive, compulsive points of view, addictive points of view. So there's all these different energies that we use, and there's like about, I think maybe 20 of them that we use, and they're sort of like the sum total of what we think we can function from. Um, and we employ them to keep us from the potency that we be as the space that we be. And we so if you look at doubt, so instead of looking at all the distractors, we'll just look at doubt. So if you have awareness and then you doubt, you're literally bringing in this outside energy that isn't the energy that you would function from if you were an infinite being. You bring in this outside energy and you apply it against yourself, and it diminishes the potency of what you could be if you were functioning from the awareness that you are. And it erodes your trust in yourself, and it keeps you from moving and instituting and like moving forward with what it is that you would like to create, and you can see how, I mean, if you play with doubt, if that's one of your things, I mean, some people have more of it than others. With the distractor implants, people have a lot of different kind of flavors that they tend towards. So some people might use relationship way more to distract themselves than doubt or fear or, blame or shame or regret or guilt, or so there's different energies that different people use in different ways. But if we look at doubt, um, anytime that you are doubting you're eroding the potency of your awareness, your potency, and what it is that you can create. And with that, it's like you're just debilitating yourself. You're like cutting yourself off at the knees, like truly debilitating yourself from being able to create and move in the world. And so how do you work with that? Well, doubt is one of the cool things about the conversation of distractor implants is that doubt is one of those where you actually can you just, with any distractor implant, you just go, okay, this is a distractor implant. I'm doing doubt. That is a distractor implant. It is designed to keep me from the potency of my awareness, trusting me, knowing what I know, moving forward from that place. Okay, well, then do I want to function from trust of me and awareness, or do I want to function from doubt? And this is where you have to strengthen the muscle of choice. Like, you have to actually really be willing to choose something different. And because you're never gonna handle doubt by trying to handle doubt. The way that you handle doubt is by letting go of it, is just by going, "This is a dead end road. Doubt is a dead end road. So I'm not going to doubt myself. I'm not gonna go there down that dead end road. I know it's a dead end. I'm not going there. I'm instead going to choose to trust myself and to lower my barriers to me." And this is where you can use that tool, interesting point of view, and just go, interesting point of view. I have this point of view that I need to doubt myself. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. And let that expand the space and let go of the doubt. And then you can have a lot more clarity of how you would like to move. And this to me is like, it's so important in these times of big change, where the future is, I mean, the future has never been predictable, but in a way, it's like less predictable than ever. There's like, the world is less predictable than ever. Um, and um, and there's a lot of people on edge around that. Like, I would say maybe most people in the world. I mean, it's kind of a pretty intense time, being on edge around that. And with that, it's like, you're perceiving all of it, so who does it belong to? Okay, not mine. Okay, I'm still gonna be aware of it, and it's not mine. It's other people's stuff. I'm aware of it. Okay, that makes it a little bit better. You know, interesting point of view. I have this point of view about all of this stuff. And now here I'm gonna interject another tool, which is one of the most powerful tools for creation, which is asking questions. And so then it's like, okay, whatever's happening in the world is happening in the world, and people are responding in whatever ever way they are. Now, here's some really powerful questions that you can use. One of them is, how can I use this to my advantage? Now, most people don't want to ask that question because they think using something to their advantage is bad. You know, it makes you, immoral, or it makes you wrong or unethical, or you can't, you shouldn't create from that space. Well, using something to your advantage, if you're asking for a greater future, you'd like to see a greater world, which you probably wouldn't be here still listening if that was not the case. Um, but but you will y- y- you if you're desiring a greater world, using something to your advantage kind of really translates to like creating something greater for everybody. If your life is going to get greater and you're interested in a greater world, then the world is going to get greater as your life gets greater. Also, one of the things that we're really taught, um, is that we need to, like, we need to sort of like prove that we're not evil, which is a whole other, you know, thing that, like, I'm not gonna go super far into that, but that there's a lot of doubt that comes with that too. Doubting ourselves, doubting our intentions. Well, oh, doubt, that's a distractor implant. Like, that's actually just there to keep me from the potency of my awareness and my choice. So I'm not gonna do that. And then and okay, so how can I use this to my advantage becomes this, like, it's like, so there's a few questions. What's right about this that I'm not getting? Like, the world, crazy, crazy. What's right about all this that I'm not getting? And when you ask those questions, you're just asking the universe. You're asking the universe to show you, and you're asking for awareness, which is also going to come a lot easier to you and more fluid, with more fluidity, if you're not in doubt, if you're being interesting point of view, if you're not paying attention to everybody else's stuff. Like, you'll have more ease with getting clear on what your awareness is. And so you're kind of, when you ask questions, it's like you're having a chat with the universe. And it's like, hey, universe, hook a sister up, hook a brother or a sister up. um what is right about this that I'm not getting? Can you please show me? Can you please give me the awareness of that? And that may not you may not have the awareness instantaneously. You'll have it, over time. You might, or maybe it's tomorrow. um but you've invited that awareness into your world. It will come, it will show up. And so you just ask, okay, so what's right about all of this that I'm not getting? Is this the change that I've been asking for and that we've been asking for? And, is this a different future showing up in a way that is different than I expected it to? Um, and and how can I use it to my advantage? And if you're really living from those questions and asking those questions without all the points of view, without everybody else's stuff interfering in your space, without doubting you and distracting you by getting, like, swallowed up by the like rushing rapid river of trauma, drama, upset, and intrigue that the rest of the world is doing. If you're not, if you're like really exercising the muscle of choice, which gets stronger all the time and needs to be stronger all the time, given what we're going through right now, if you're really utilizing that muscle, then your ability to not get swept away by that rushing river that's going nowhere gets stronger and stronger every day. And your ability to stay present, with you, with your awareness, with, what it is that you'd like to create. It's just like you develop the strength of that more and more all the time. And as we do that, this is how we actually, those of us who are curious and interested in a different future and asking these types of questions, that's how we turn the tide on what's going on in the world right now. It's how we create a greater future and a different future. And any sort of distraction of like trauma, drama, upset, intrigue, the rushing river that goes to nowhere, doubt, all those things, like anytime you go there, you diminish what you can create as possibility, as a greater future. And it's like, it's just amazing right now because it's getting so, like, the distraction of that is getting so much louder every day, which is part of the design of it all, to swoop us out of our potency, our awareness, our, everything that we know and that we be and that we came here to create. Is like the allure of, giving up on that is it's getting stronger all the time. And so we have to strengthen ourselves more and more every day to become even more like strong and robust, and trusting ourselves to move in the direction of a greater future. And I made a video on Monday, that you can see on my YouTube channel about our bodies, and like how right now it's more important than ever to really care for our bodies during this time. Like our nervous systems can be, agitated and, kind of on hyper alert. And so there's a lot of somatic neurological body resourcing that is really good to be doing, at this point. And so, so anyway, you can look at that on YouTube if you wanna hear more about that. And I have, lots of podcasts about body stuff, like, there's a lot of that. And, so, there's a lot of resources, but the what I wanna really, emphasize here, and I'm gonna wind up pretty soon, but is this piece about trust, because you are your greatest asset. Your awareness is your greatest asset, and that is true more and more every day. That you cannot rely upon the lies of the world around you, the distraction of it all, "Hey, look over here, shiny object. Just kidding. I just wanted to take you out and take you away from yourself." And so it's like being with ourselves, knowing ourselves, trusting ourselves like that. Our awareness is our greatest asset right now, and it always has been. But it's even more critical in this time that we stay present with that, that we choose it, that we choose things that support that, that we surround ourselves with people that support that, and that we be in those conversations with ourselves of like, what do I know? What's true for me? What's available here? What is uniquely what awareness do I uniquely have about what I could create, how I could create it, how I can, what futures are available, how I can proceed in my life and in the creation of a future, and have fun. I mean, come on, let's have some fun. Even though, the world is like falling apart, let's have fun. Like, let's enjoy. Because that is like, I think for a lot of us, and myself included, like that goes out the window really fast, when we get stressed. And it's like the fun and the joy is actually the thing that is really going to, that it explodes energies and opens up awareness and opens up possibilities like nothing else. And so that's a critical piece to all of this. But um uh and maybe I'll probably do tomorrow's video on that. um but um but y- so What I wanna really impress upon all of us, and I always speak to myself too when I do these these videos and stuff, is that, it's a choice. Like, trusting you is a choice. It's not something that you'll just get to someday, or you'll just find yourself there, or you'll just be like, "Oh, I trust me totally now," implicitly, no doubt. It's just here I am, It's not a place that you get to. It's not something that magically appears or occurs in your life. It is something that you have to choose every day, every moment of every day, every moment that you're aware of that choice as a possibility, choose it. And as you do, and as you move in that direction, um, you will be, like, you are strengthening the muscle of trusting you. And it's like, and you'll start to kind of like be rewarded rewarded in a way in your own world by, when you trust you and you follow your gut, your intuition, your awareness, whatever you want to call it, you follow that. And you see that actually, like, you didn't go somewhere that you were going to go and it's a total disaster, or you avoided, uh, totally messed up, like, I do super simple pragmatic example of this. When I book my travel, I always do it from awareness, and I ask questions, and I always trust. It's like, this is the flight. Okay, cool. And I basically never have travel delays. Like, I just don't have travel delays. It's not my world. And part of it is that I'm in the question when I book my travel, and I always go with what is like the lightest or the thing that pops or whatever. And I just trust me. And I'm like, that flight, this date, this place, this, da 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 da. And I will say, like, I mean, that's just one very simple example, but I did want to give that because there's, you can use this everywhere in your life, everywhere, and then for the bigger things as well. And to this, sort of piece of like, really, that whole world is changing too, like the whole universe of like awareness and how we are aware, and what we are aware of, like, how awareness shows up, like, that's changing a lot right now. And so we have to be even more present, even more in question, and present with the energies, to have a sense of, how to move with things, because it's just different these days. But that's where the cultivation of trust is just so important, because the more we trust ourselves, the more we cultivate that trust, the more we just move with the energy, and when you move with the energy, it's uninhibited what can occur. And as far as the entrepreneurial biome goes, the topic of this podcast, it's like, to me, this is how we nurture the biome. This is how we mineralize the soil. This is how we, expand. Like, we add these elements of trust, these elements of peace, and like, giving ourselves a gift of following the energy and all of that. We engage with that. Every time we engage with that with ourselves, every time we choose to trust ourselves rather than be distracted by whatever else is going on, we nurture the biome, and it becomes a more thriving ecosystem. Even when it seems like the rest of the world is falling apart, like, your personal entrepreneurial biome, your personal ecosystem that is your business, your body, your living, your relationships, all of it, it's only for you to tend to, and to decide what you will allow in and not, and not from exclusion, but just like, what will you put your attention on? There's so many things you can put your attention on. I mean, it's insane right now, like, more than ever. And it's like, what would you like to put your attention on? And as you do, you nurture that ecosystem and that biome with the energies that actually create a greater future for you and for the world. And it's more essential than ever right now for us to be doing that. So that's your invitation. If you wish to accept it, your charge, your whatever. my invitation to you. And yeah, and if you would like more, there's so much more, the two classes that really popped for me around this conversation, if you would like a deeper dive, are the Business Done Different class, which is it's like a creation master class, and that's happening. I'm doing one of those in I think it's July 7th. I start online 3.5 hours a day, 4 days in a row. That's a deep dive into this. Like, it's a real deep dive into the energetics of creation and the creation of not just your business, but the business of your life, and trusting you and functioning, like creating from your being truly, and leading from that place. So that's coming up here on the 7th of July. And then I'm also doing a foundation class, which goes into a lot of the most dynamic, um, you know, fundamental and powerful tools of access consciousness. And I will be doing one of those in person in Boulder, Colorado, August 23rd through the 26th. And that is going to be accompanied by all kinds of amazing, fun, extra body hedonism things like food and drinks and hikes and movement classes and all kinds of extra yum around that. So those are both happening this summer. And you can, go to my website and check all that out, heathernichols.com. So thank you, Nancy. Glad you enjoyed it. And thank you all for being here now and in the future. And what else is possible? It is our time, and it seems often like it really is not. And what if we don't get distracted by that? What if we trust what we know? It's like, now's the time. Now is our time. We are in a birth process. We are in a death and birth process in the world. We're in a massive transition right now, and we need to care for ourselves, tend to our biome, tend to our bodies and our what it is that we're creating, and just trust and keep going and have each other's backs too. Like, really have each other's backs. And maybe we'll dive more into that another time. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.